Does it sound familiar that you go on vacation and you have a pretty good time, but really what you're doing on vacation is taking care of everybody else, making sure that they have what they need, that they packed what they were supposed to pack, that they had an okay time on the plane, or that everybody has the snacks that they need, that you're really attending to everybody else? Well, that was me. And as I'm working on my soul recovery, now that my kids have flown the nest, I'm actually starting to ask questions like, what do I want to do? Where do I want to go? How do I want to spend my time? If I let everybody do what they're going to do, what does my time look like? These can be new questions for some of us. These are awarenesses that might need attention. And on my recent trip to Indonesia with my husband, I had success from working my soul recovery steps, from learning to let go of codependency and people pleasing. Enjoy the episode. Welcome to the Recover Your Soul podcast, a spiritual path to a happy and healthy life. My name is Reverend Rachel Harrison. I started Recover Your Soul after having profound changes in my life from my recovery of alcoholism, codependency, and control addiction. I was guided to share the tools and principles of spirituality and soul recovery to help others transform their lives as mine was transformed. For us to overcome external circumstances, we need to turn the attention to ourselves, focusing on our inner change and healing. Positive results in our lives will follow. Welcome to Recover Your Soul. I'm Rev Rachel, and I thank you for coming and spending your time with me today. If you're new to the soul recovery journey, welcome to this amazing community. And if you've been here for a while, I am so grateful. This community means so much to me. And together, we're doing this work to recover our souls. This is a group effort. And I want to thank you for all the feedback and the emails and the responses and the comments and the reviews that let me know that this journey of us sharing together, of me sharing my story of healing with you resonates with you, that you hear yourself in my story, that you get hope and tools and practices and teachings, spiritual teachings on how you too can apply these principles in your life and have healing. Find peace even when there's chaos on the outside. Let go of people pleasing. Stand more firmly and with more strength in your body and your skin and your being. We're here to learn how to let go of everything on the outside that we've been looking to fill us up, and to learn how to love ourselves and find strength within ourselves to live the life that is aligned for who we are here to be. We're here for our soul recovery journey. With that said, I am so excited because I want to share this experience with you of having been gone for the last month. For most of February, Rich and I were in Indonesia, and there is so much to talk about in the success of this work that I'm doing that made it so that it really was a fantastic trip. That it wasn't about expectations not being met. It wasn't about spending a whole bunch of money and then coming back and saying, oh my God, we fought the whole time, or I was so disappointed. It was truly a testament to the work that I've been doing to allow myself to be present with exactly what it was. And what it was had a lot of beautiful things involved with it. And it also had life. It had travel. It had situations. And with that, this work in learning how to let go of control and to recognize what's ours to hold just makes everything so much easier to walk through. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. If you're ready for soul recovery, as a spiritual coach, I can support your healing to help make real changes that will bring you a life of peace, happiness, connection, and abundance. You can also work in smaller groups by taking a deep dive in a Zoom workshop or with me in person at a retreat or an event. Join others on the soul recovery path once a month for the free Zoom support group or daily on the private Facebook page. Visit the website recoveryoursoul.net to book coaching sessions with me or find all the information you need about soul recovery, dates that are coming up, and how to register for those groups and workshops. To support the podcast and the community, check the links in the show notes to make a small monthly donation or a one-time donation of your choice that will make a huge impact to support this community and the soul recovery mission. Together, we can do the work that will recover your soul. Now, I want to start by saying that I've been on this exploration journey of recognizing the codependence and the people pleasing that has been such a foundational piece of who I am. And moving into, especially now that the boys have become young adults and live in another state, moving into this place where I actually have permission and time to begin to say, who's Rachel? Who am I? I am not the only person who has spent an entire lifetime learning how to take care of everybody else. And then when that space gets opened up, you don't actually know who you are or what you like or what you want to do. We've spent our entire being present for somebody else, making sure that somebody else's needs were met. That if they liked this, you did that. If they wanted to do this event, that's where you went. If this is what the house needed, that's where you spent the money. If you did something, that's what you did. It wasn't because you said, oh, this fills me up or this is something I want to do. There wasn't even space to ask those questions. I didn't feel like I was being ignored. I didn't feel like I was losing what I wanted to do. It just wasn't even in the game. It wasn't even a question. Like, what does Rachel want to do? It was the family was the number one priority, and making sure that those boys had and did everything that we could give them and provide for them to do was absolutely our number one priority. And Rich is a kid at heart forever. And there is a piece of him, we always joke that he's the most expensive family member because he's the one with all the toys. He's the one with all of the surfboards, all of the different tools, all the motorcycles, there's a classic car in the driveway. He is also very versed in what he wants and how he wants his life to be. So I accommodated for that too. It wasn't really until I got out of that space and there was an opening and I came out of the fog that I had been in, an addict, that I started to realize part of my sadness and part of my my hole in my heart, my emptiness, was that I hadn't given myself permission to begin to wonder and really ask, what do I want? What do I need? What do I want to do? I had this awareness, and I think I might have talked about this in a podcast before, but in October, I went to San Diego with my best friend and her sisters, and each of the sisters brought a friend. So there was 6 of us. And one of the things that my best friend said to me was, this is such a great trip because everyone's just responsible for themselves. You don't have to take care of anybody. You don't have to make sure that everybody's okay. We all somehow just are able to morph together and have fun, and everybody can do whatever they want. If you want to go on a bike ride with some of the people who are going on the bike ride, you go on the bike ride. If you don't want to go, don't worry. Don't go. Don't go on the bike ride, right? So I think I talked about this in October, but what I want to talk about is, I think the first morning that we woke up there and I got out of bed and my best friend had gotten her coffee and walked out on the pier, I had this moment where I said, oh, I should go and see what she's doing on the pier. And then I said, no, you know what I really want to do is I really want to go walk on the beach. And as I was walking on the beach with my headphones on, I realized that was the first time I had ever been on a trip that I didn't ask what someone else wanted to do or accommodate somebody. That it was literally at 53 years old last October, the first time that I was someplace where I just said, what do I want? Who do I want to be with? Me. What do I want to do? I want to go walk on the beach. And I didn't worry. Am I gone too long? Have I gone too far? Are they going to worry about me? Should I have brought somebody? I had my phone. If they wanted to text me, they could text me. That awareness opened up something for me that made me realize on some level, this permission that my best friend had given me to do whatever I wanted is actually the universe is always giving us this permission to take care of ourselves, to see what we want and how we want to be. But I never understood that. This part of me that has accommodated and people pleased and taken care of and been the peacemaker and run circles, I did that to myself. I did that to me. It wasn't imposed upon me. I set it up. So this journey that I'm on and that I'm inviting you to be on with me is this journey of self-awareness. For us to open up just a little and start to realize how much of that is coming from the outside and how much of that is coming from my internal dialogue with myself that says, you should do whatever. Now, I can guarantee you on many a trip that I have been on with my entire family, that if I woke up in the morning and I thought to myself, you know what I really want to do? I really want to go by myself and go walk on the beach. All I would have had to say was, I'm going to go walk on the beach. I'll be back in a couple hours. And they would have said, great. Me, I'm the one who said, I better make sure everyone gets some breakfast. I better make sure that everybody has all their stuff. Are you happy? Are you getting along? Can I help you with something? Can I do something for you? Can I accommodate you in some way? That was me. I did that. I was the one who imposed that upon myself. And then they get used to it. And then we are teaching them how to treat us. We are teaching people how to treat us because we set up that system. And breaking the system takes time. It takes work. And that's what I've been doing. That's what has been happening in my life with soul recovery is I have been doing this work to break these systems. And it isn't breaking them in this bad way. It's opening my own self and changing the paradigm that's within myself first. And then with kindness, compassion, love, and connection, moving my relationships with the people around me and handing their lives over to them again. And having clear, honest communications. So this trip that we went on is a beautiful example of doing something that met both Rich and I's needs. Now, originally, this trip had been set up in 2020, this surfing on the Mentawai Islands trip. Rich and his buddy from college had planned on going on a surfing trip, and they were going to bring their wives. Right. So this was not a joint trip of a couple saying, oh, let's do this thing together. It was a surfing trip and the wives could accompany if they so desired. Right. It had a very different energy and feel around it. Well, the pandemic came, the trip got canceled, and, we dealt with all the stuff that went with that. So here we are. And this piece of starting to say, who am I? What do I want in my life? Not from a selfish place, not from a screw the rest of you and you can, figure it out for yourselves, but from this place that's saying, who am I in my soul? What am I aligned with? What really jazzes me? What makes me feel fabulous? What aligns with the truth of who I am? And these are deep questions. And I'm telling you, I couldn't have told you what I wanted for dinner years ago. If somebody said, Rachel, you can eat wherever you want to eat, I couldn't have told you. I would have looked to my family to see what they wanted to eat. What kind of music do you like? We've found music we like together. No, what do you like? These have been small baby steps that have started with, what do you want to eat right now? What kind of music do you want to listen to? What books do you want to read? What shows do you want to watch? What do you want to do with your little moments of free time, right? It just starts small. So, one of the things that I've been really working on is visioning my life. Who am I and what do I want from my life 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now? What is that? And that visioning has grown this community, being Rev Rachel, this standing in who I recognize that I am and that I want to be. This is part of it. And it's incredibly powerful when we can step into the truth of who we are and start to have preferences and realize that it doesn't mean anybody else can't have their preferences. There is enough for everyone. There is literally enough everything for everyone. There is unlimited creative supply. So to start to realize that when we stand and claim our own selves, it isn't in rejection of anybody else. So one of my manifestations is that I've lived in this climate in Colorado and New Mexico my entire life, and that Rich has introduced me to the love of the ocean and of water. I really, really love being by the ocean. And in general, if it's not warm, I'm not a big ocean swimmer, but I love being by the ocean, especially. And the river, great as well. So that's benefited us in the sense that I'm there watching surfing, I'm watching stand-up paddleboarding, I'm watching whatever their activities are. And because I'm not athletic and have no desire to be, they're doing their athleticism and I'm taking care of myself and enjoying the shore. Well, in the past, that really meant that I was watching them do the activities. And it was not really negative for me that I was watching the activities. I don't feel like I had to watch the activities, but I didn't have enough um, connection to what I wanted to do that at that point that I could say, you go do your activity, you be in this race, you paddle, whatever it is you're going to paddle, you surf, you do, whatever you're going to do. I'll be back in 2 hours and I'm going to go sit upstream or down on the beach and do my own thing. Right. So it's been these small baby steps to move into being in the same environment and not being caught up in taking care of them constantly. So here we are. I've been in the same climate my entire life, and I've made friends with winter. There was some winters 3 or 4 years back where I was pretty pissed at winter, but now I've realized it's going to be winter whether you pissed at it or not. So you may as well make peace with winter. For about 10 years, I've been manifesting this real awareness of the stream that your life is what you think and feel and believe it is. So you can indeed create an environment that is more aligned with who you are. And so my dream is that in the winter, January and February, sort of the heart of the winter, for part or all of that, I am someplace warm and wonderful and preferably by the ocean. This is my manifestation. This is my dream. So about 6 months ago, when Rich and I started manifesting this, where can we go that we can, my first idea, my first plan is that I can work remotely, that I can still run Recover Your Soul from wherever we are. And we thought about Hawaii and we thought about Mexico, we thought about California, and we started really looking at various things. And Rich came and said, the trip to the Mentawais is a bucket list for me. And when it got canceled, that was really, really sad for me. And I realized at 57 years old that if I don't go on this surf trip soon, I'm going to age out of the capacity to truly ride the waves in the means in which my heart and soul wants to. And so we looked at this, and what I loved is that we're in such a healthier place that we could look at this trip, and instead of me in the past accommodating, oh yeah, I'll be the wife that goes along and I'll watch you, right? It was looking at the resort. What do they have to offer? How can I be there with myself being fulfilled? And the realization was, it's going to be great. It's going to be perfect, that I can do what I love to do, which is to sit and meditate and read and write and do the things that fill me up. So we made this decision to do this trip together. And actually, it's kind of funny because then Rich came to me when we were pretty far along in planning the trip, and he said, "Oh my gosh, Rach, I just realized that it's our 30th wedding anniversary trip, and it's really important that we're together. And I want you to be really happy. And I'm going to be gone all the time off surfing, and you're going to be left alone." And I said, "Yeah, that's why this is going to be so perfect, because you're going to be off doing what you love, and it's going to give me space to do what I love. And I get to explore and be me. I get to do what I want to do." So it allowed us to both get what we needed and wanted. And as I move more out of the space of accommodating and taking care of, this trip was another great example of being in a healthier space with that. We had meetings. We looked at what the lists were that were recommended from the resort of what to bring. We took turns figuring out who was going to buy or figure out or take care of these things to make sure we had everything that we needed. And I didn't pack his suitcase for him. I don't know how many pairs of shorts he brought and what he did outside of making sure that he had enough surf equipment. I didn't pay attention to any of that stuff. I packed my bag. I took care of my stuff. And then we had the joint stuff that we had agreed upon. And that felt really good. It felt like I could feel the success of soul recovery because it wasn't hard. It wasn't like I was gritting my teeth, not looking at what he was packing. It was truly just trusting and allowing that he is a grown man. He's 57 years old. And if he doesn't bring enough something, it will be okay. He will survive. I don't have to take care of him like that. As we prepare and we get ready for the trip, and it was a lot of work to get ready for the trip. Being gone for 3 weeks and getting everything ready beforehand was pretty intense. What I'm grateful for is that I was able to completely step into this zone when it was time to drive to the airport. And I stepped into this trip as the human being that I am and who I am becoming. And I got in the car with the human being that Rich is in this moment and who he was going to show up as the trip with. And what I really recognize that is part of the success of what happened for us is that I didn't also pack a bag that had all of our past crap and all the times that didn't go well and all the ways that in the past, man, we've been together for 32 years. So let me tell you, there has been a lot of experiences. And if I had chosen to pack my bag and bring all of that with me, to drag along with me, and to have as part of the journey, we would have not had the kind of vacation that we had. It would not have gone off the way that it did. I got in the car with who he is today, not having even expectations of what that was going to be. And the beautiful thing is, because I can show up in that way, it gives him space to be who he's going to be. And he was giddy and excited, and he has all these little voices that he uses to have these different personalities of all these exciting things. And we were making little videos, and I loved this lightness that was within him, this sort of young, cheerful, sweet, attentive human being. Now, that isn't the human being that is always lives in the house with me. But I think that we can shoot ourselves in the foot by when we're getting what we want, then we almost can't accept it because we're wanting to point out, well, it's not like this when we're at home. No, sometimes it isn't like that when we're at home. But it was like that on that moment. And for those 3 weeks, that was what it was like. So I just soaked it up. I just loved it. I just appreciated it. I was in it. Now, we had huge amounts of travel on either end. If anybody's been to the other side of the world, it takes a long time to get there. However, it's almost nothing compared to what it was 100 years ago, right? So even 50 years ago, we had multiple flights, 2 flights that were 8 and 10 hours apiece. There were connections. There was getting the surfboard in Jakarta back on an airplane and all the stuff that came with it. And what I can report to you is in the past, I think I would have been more concerned with making sure that Rich was okay on the travel, that he was having a nice time on the flight, that he was cared for, that he had enough snacks or movies or, whatever the things were. And I didn't pay attention to any of those things. I sat next to my husband and let him be wherever he was at. For me to be present in my body and this practice that I've been doing of meditating and learning to be right here, right now, meant that I wasn't wondering how long the flight's going to be. I just was. It became timeless and open. And I looked out the window, I think for 8 hours straight at these amazing clouds with this going forward in time. It never became sunset, but it was like a sunset for 8 hours. I took a bazillion pictures of what I look back now, and the pictures don't even begin to show how beautiful it was. I was setting myself up to just be present. And so that allowed us, when we got to Padang and we got to this lovely 4-star hotel, which you go to a third world country and for $55 a night, you get to stay in a 4-star hotel with an amazing buffet breakfast and be treated like a queen and a king in this gorgeous setting. And it's a very real world there. It's a very different world. And we had these first 3 days where we had tour guides that took us in various places around the city and outside of the city for the first couple days. And it was just this adventure that we were having together. And it was really beautiful to really see the value of the soul recovery work that has allowed me to let go of so much control, so much desire to try to figure everything out, to be in charge. I had no idea what we were going to do, no idea how we were going to get there, no idea what was happening. I just said yes, and I just walked with whatever the process was. I just was. And I allowed it to be whatever was coming and to just enjoy every moment and not wonder what was going to happen the next hour and not wonder if Rich was okay, but just to be there. So then after a 7 hours, it was like 7 or 8 hours of boat rides to get to the island where we were at this beautiful resort in the Mentawai Islands called Macaroni's Resort. And when we showed up there, it was an opportunity to continue to practice this because as soon as we got there, surfing was Rich's number one priority, right? And he has an addictive mind. I'm happy to report that he didn't drink on this trip, first of all, which I was going to be incredibly surprised if he didn't drink. So I am incredibly surprised. He did not drink on this trip. We had one conversation prior to going to the island, I think at the hotel, and I just said, "Hey, how are you feeling about all this? What's your thoughts?" I didn't give him permission or tell him not to. I just was curious, and he said he was not feeling a pull to drink, and that was his plan, and he lived up to his plan for the best that I know. Again, not going to hold on to it. But he does have an addictive personality. So surfing and some sports, a lot of sports, can allow that addictive personality to take over. But it wasn't horrendous. It just was, right? So his attention was now on what he went there to do, which is surfing. And instead of me worrying about whether he was getting good waves or what it was for him or being overly involved in his experience, I listened, I watched the videos and the photos that they would have every night. I experienced it with him, but I went and had my trip. I went and did what I wanted to do. I practiced what I had that experience on the beach in San Diego, and I got to really, for 2 weeks, immerse myself in this concept that what was it that I would like to do at this moment, regardless of whether he's out on the surfboat or not. What did I want to do? So I woke up in the morning. I went down and got my cup of coffee. I came back up. They had a nice deck where you could look out over the ocean. I put on my headphones. I meditated. I journaled. I went down for breakfast. Maybe he was done surfing. Maybe he wasn't. I had massages. They had massages at Indonesian rates, which was amazing. I had like 8 of them. I went and walked the beaches. At one point, I wanted to spend more time down by the beach, and I asked them if they had a beach chair, and they said they didn't, but they had a beanbag chair. So they brought me this beanbag chair that was my chair for 2 weeks, and I found this beautiful place underneath these palms, and I had this routine of going and reading and having my music and journaling and bringing my computer and working on the book and coming up with the concepts for upcoming workshops and for courses. And I just, for the first time, I would say in my adult life, I really got to just do and be what I wanted to do and be. And the second week, when the waves went down, I discovered snorkeling. And so sometimes Rich would come out snorkeling with me because there was less waves, and sometimes the waves would be up and I would go out snorkeling by myself. Oh my God. The concept of me going out and snorkeling by myself is nothing that I would have done before because I didn't know that about myself yet. I hadn't had those experiences to claim that part of me that wanted to go snorkeling. And if there was not Rich to do it with me, I went and did it by myself. I was being watched over by the boatmen. I was perfectly safe and fine. Rich had an extraordinary surf experience, which included some disappointment. And I didn't try to fix it for him. I just listened. It included him getting hurt and having some reef cuts and a big cut on his arm from the fin cutting him. And I just was present with him. And he continued to be this sweet, aware, connected person, along with really being connected with the surfing. And what was really fun about this particular location was I couldn't watch him surf. The way that the wave is, you actually take a boat out to the wave. It gave me permission that I didn't need, right? Because this is permission we're giving ourselves, but it gave me permission to not have to feel like I should watch him. So I didn't watch him. I let him have his experience, and then we would come back and connect. And I'm so grateful because when you align with your true self, with connection with spirit, when you are in a place where you feel your wholeness and you're able to start to recognize the places where you can be out of balance and you're adjusting to them yourself, life eases up a little bit, right? Like he really was having some existential crises over his being 57 and not being able to surf to the level. He is just there where he can surf very well, but not like he wished that he could. There are people there who surf all the time, surf instructors, people who work there who were amazing, right? Like it didn't matter what kind of wave they had. They were amazing. And comparison is the thief of joy. Comparison will take everything that is beautiful and wonderful and make you feel like crap. And he had some of those experiences of having to work through that and look at that for himself. But the new soul recovered Rachel can just see that this is part of his process. Not placate him. Oh, honey, but you're so great. And you're going to. No, I didn't discount or pretend. I just let him be. I just witnessed it with him. Through that, there was a deeper connection between us. And he worked through it. He worked through it. And I'm unbelievably amazed. I will see if he comes on and wants to do a podcast to talk more about it. He, through that experience, came back home and said, you know what I really realize is I've spent so much of my life looking for outside things to bring me joy and happiness and to give me some sort of approval. And I, on some level, was wanting to do that with this trip. And I am even more aware of the need to have happiness and fulfillment from within. Wow, right? Like that is my awareness, but that's not an awareness that I could give him. I'm sure I've said it. I'm sure he's heard me say it. He's listened to the podcast. He's come to me speaking at churches. He heard it and felt it for the first time for himself in a way that it is going to move his journey for him. Now, the Rich that was sweet is still here. He's still here. But the one that was like super lighthearted and easygoing and nothing, like was really getting to him except for the waves, he's back in real life. And we came back from this beautiful trip and there's some real life stuff going on. Bills got to be paid. When you have two self-employed people who go on vacation, you not only spend the money on the vacation, but you don't make money while you're gone. So there's some stress. But in this new soul recovery place, we're dealing with it better. I'm dealing with it better. I'm allowing it to be as it is and not getting overwhelmed and wanting it to stay in this ideal, beautiful place that we got to experience for 3 weeks. I'm going to savor and love that. And most importantly, I'm going to continue to work on asking the question, what does Rachel want? What does Rachel enjoy? How can I take those principles and apply them even more deeply in my everyday life, in my work life, in my friend's life? How can I really, really savor this truth about being fully embraced in who I am, not in a selfish way, but in a way that embraces the truth of who I am without needing to people please or be codependent? Because the truth is, when I'm in that place, all the relationships work better anyway. So doesn't it benefit everyone for us to be in our whole selves? Absolutely, it does. So if you need help with any of this, if any of this resonates with you, if you would like to work on the 9 steps of soul recovery in a single session to just talk about something that's up or to work the steps, go to the website, book a coaching session. I am here for you. I'm also offering retreats this year. Going to do 3 retreats this year and have courses coming up, and we're going to be doing more Zoom workshops. We're doing this together. We're learning how to truly embrace the truth of who we are and let go of control, being okay even when others aren't okay, and taking our power back, inner peace, and love and joy, a spiritual path to a happy, healthy life. Soul recovery, love it. Until next time, namaste. Thank you for listening to the Recover Your Soul podcast. And if you loved what you heard here, every Friday we have a bonus episode, and you can access this by becoming a subscriber through Apple Podcasts for only $3.99 a month, or become a Patreon member. And on this platform, you can choose $5, $15, or $25 a month to show what you want to support the show with. On both of these subscriber platforms is an entire catalog of back episodes intended to inspire and support you on your soul recovery journey. I really want to invite everybody to attend the free once a month, every first Monday of the month support group. This is on Zoom. Everyone is welcome to attend. And by giving a like or a review and sharing this with your friends and family really helps us to share the soul recovery message with even more people. We are on social media. We are on all the platforms. I am on TikTok. You can listen to guided meditations by Rev Rachel Harrison on Insight Timer. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for being part of the community. To find out more about soul recovery and everything that's being offered, visit the website www.recoveryoursoul.net. Together, we can do the work that will recover your soul.